The jury is still out on just how fast and how far the bombshell Age of Disclosure documentary moves the needle on UFO disclosure. But according to a new report, we may be closer than you think. Journalist Michael Shellenberger published an article today quoting a senior advisor to Secretary of State and National Security Advisor Marco Rubio, who says, quote, "We are headed toward a massive disclosure." Now, just when that might happen, it remains vague, but it does reflect the sentiment of the moment. After several congressional hearings on Capitol Hill and whistleblowers like David Grush speaking out publicly on this show for the first time, it does feel as though we're closer than ever to our government acknowledging allegations that it has some sort of secret program trying to reverse engineer alien spacecraft. That allegation was examined thoroughly in the 1-hour, 50-minute documentary. Rubio was by far the most senior official who went on the record, on camera, demanding answers. And the documentary wasn't the first time that he's voiced his concern about this. He spoke to NewsNation in 2023 and said individuals with high clearances to work on this top secret program are too afraid to speak out because they fear retribution.
Some of these people still work in the government, and frankly, a lot of them are very fearful of their jobs, fearful of their clearances, fearful of their career, and some, frankly, are fearful of harm coming to them.
It is not just government employees who are in the know. Rubio believes the U.S. government has handed over these UFOs, these spacecraft that they have found, to private military contractors. He says those contractors know more about these crafts than the U.S. government. National security risk? Sure sounds like it could be. Joining us now is Michael Shellenberger, journalist and founder of Public News. Welcome back to the show, Michael. Always great to have you on. So no less than the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, went on camera in this documentary saying publicly that the U.S. government has recovered alien technology from non-human sources and is currently working to reverse engineer it. That's pretty incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Great to be with you, Elizabeth. It's already a historic moment. I mean, we've never had anybody at Rubio's level. And keep in mind, Rubio is also the National Security Advisor. The last time you had the Secretary of State and the National Security Advisor as the same person was Henry Kissinger between 1973 and 1975. Rubio is, arguably number 3, although the State Department is number 1 in foreign policy after the president. Elizabeth, I think what this all means is that the president needs to address this issue. He needs to speak directly to the American people and explain what's going on here. There is conflicting messages. The the Department of War has the same line that they've had for years, which is very specific, and they say there's no evidence of extraterrestrials. I asked why they used that word because it wasn't a word I used, and they said, well, they referred me to their report. But look at what you have on the other side. You have not just, you have the president himself, the vice president, the director of national intelligence, the Secretary of State going further than any of them, and agreeing to even participate in this movie.
Yeah.
Is itself a major statement. So I think, look, there's conflicting messages. The president, I think, needs finally to address this issue.
It does feel like we've been building to this, these congressional hearings, these members of Congress. For the longest time, Michael, it was like people with tinfoil hats were talking about UFOs, and they were dismissed as Looney Tunes. And slowly but surely, people still make fun of it. But, there have been very serious congressional hearings with very serious whistleblowers testifying under oath. It does feel like we're getting to a moment, because especially in this documentary, it says it's not just the United States reverse engineering these spacecraft that we have found. Russia and China have also found craft and are also reverse engineering. And this is a secret arms race happening.
Yeah, I mean, look, Elizabeth, people sometimes ask me, they go, what do you believe is happening? What do you, Michael Shellenberger, think is happening? Who cares? I mean, I really don't have secret clearance. I don't have any confidential access to information. You should care what the Secretary of State says.
Right.
The director of the CIA, the director of national intelligence, the vice president. They're all saying that this is not just ridiculous and something that shouldn't be taken seriously. But you've still got the Department of War that's sort of dismissing it. I just think the way that this has progressed is that we're at a place now where it's like, look, Elizabeth, I can't do many more hours of podcasts, speculating about this issue when we know that the people that run the government now have the power to tell us what it is. And like I said in my piece, if it's all a delusion and it's all, a kind of circular reporting based on disinformation from the 50s and 60s, then the president should reveal that. But either way, you have very conflicting messages coming from the highest levels of our government. I think they need to figure out a way to deconflict that.
We know, at least there are allegations in this documentary, Age of Disclosure, that in the first Trump administration, they seriously considered potentially going public with information like this, that George W. Bush also had 10 days of meetings where cabinet members discussed the implications of going public with the information. It's been going on that long, and they ultimately decided it was too cataclysmic for the world to handle. I think, to your point, I think we've reached a point where you can't keep the lid on this pot much longer if there's something in there. You know what I mean? Like, it's time to come clean one way or the other. And it's hard to imagine at this point that there are concerns about people losing their minds about existential questions and religion and beliefs, by revealing something, if something's really going on.
Yeah, look, I think they have to find a way to explain, at least a large percentage of it. I think everybody in the country, almost everybody in the country, would understand if there's certain information by the way it was collected or related to weapons programs that we would expect and want our government to keep secret. But if it's a government, by and for the people, and our Constitution is in effect, then we need to know what's going on here. And the amount of, everybody agrees there's a lot of disinformation and misinformation. There's not agreement on which is which. It ultimately, it's arrived at this moment that it's just got to be up to the president of the United States to finally address this issue. I think he will be asked about it in the days and weeks to come. And I think I think we saw in the Epstein files, people are not going to let go of this. They really want answers, because I think at a certain point, the speculation is boring when we know that our leaders actually do know what's going on and have not yet shared that information with us.
And when you had the Secretary of State confirming that there's something going on, or at least saying that there's something going on. Yeah. All right. Michael Shellenberger, great to talk to you as always. Thank you.
Great to be with you. Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.